Today, I had my first major multiplayer war, which was a ton of fun, and I want to show you guys what I did wrong, which was a lot, by the way, and what I did right, and kind of my overall strategy, because it was kind of funny. And let's just get into it. My former ally, Livonian Order, would break their alliance with me, which would cause me to immediately react and start building some forts. I thought I would build forts every other province. I realized I could have done every like 2 gas in between each fort, but I was like, okay, I need a fort in every other province, which, yeah, that was a mistake, but I ended up later actually canceling and then rebuilding them so they had the proper spacing. There's no truce breaks allowed in this session, so I knew I had 5 years to prepare. So at least that was in my mind. I'm like, okay, I got my forts are going to have time to build, I'm going to have my proper armies, and it should be a good war. Notice Livonian, his army stacks were right on the border, and I was like, okay, this guy's a pro. He knows what he's doing. Which ended up, it was his first time doing a multiplayer war also. So that was kind of funny. But I ended up copying his armies because I was like, this guy's a pro. He's 25-2. He's like, he knows something. Like, I don't know. I better make my stacks like his if I want to have any chance of winning. I would do something like 27 cannons in one stack, and then I would copy his template of doing 25 infantry and 2 cavalry in the rest of my stacks. Notice Livonia had his first 3 ideas done, so I was hoping that by the time the war started, I would have mine done. Like, maybe he wouldn't declare straight away, and I could finish my 3 ideas as well. You can see here I was about 1.5 ideas from completing offensive, which would give me 5% discipline, and then I could get another 5 if I just finished off my policies, or my national policies, whatever they're called. And as I'm waiting to finish that last discipline, I get warred with, so guess I'm not going to have time to finish that. But hey, good on him for taking advantage of that. I watched a little bit of multiplayer, and to me the meta was, you stack your army, then you like reinforce it like a million little times with different little stacks, which I assumed were stacks of infantry. So that was kind of my idea going into it. So here's where I made a little bit of a mistake. I decided to panic and take 1,000 loans so I could get a bajillion mercenaries. I was like, okay, if I have every mercenary in the game, there's no way I lose this war, right? Like, now, the consequences of doing something like this were, well, it's a little bit of money when you double your force limit, it turns out. So let's bring us to the first battle of the war. He was occupying my province here, so I sent 27 guys, 27 cannons, and I started doing this funnel thing that I kind of was like, okay, I'm just clicking everywhere. We're going to funnel in, but we kind of split up our units from province to province, so I was like, okay, I was going to funnel in. Like, I've seen this kind of thing on videos. Like, okay, I'm just going to slowly funnel my guys in here. I would win the first battle, and I noticed he took 39,138 losses to my 21,494. So he took a considerable more amount of casualties than I did in that first battle. I decided I would play kind of defensive as I really wanted to finish that idea set. So here I'm kind of just waiting for him to make a move, kind of buying myself time to finish those ideas and get that plus 10% discipline going. So you can see I completed my discipline, and he's kind of attacking me again, but further south, so got my 10% discipline, and we're ready to go into our next battle of the war. My opponent figured this battle was losing, so he ended up retreating. As you can see, I have 140k plus to his maybe 60k. And the total losses were 19,361 on his side and 3,481 on my side. He had an unfortunate scenario where he sent in a stack to reinforce and it was too late, so that stack ended up going into mine. This would result in a full stack wipe, him losing 27,000 guys, me losing 3,835. From here I would start moving on the offensive, as I feel like I had gained some momentum from winning that battle and having him unfortunately get stack wiped one of his guys, so I started pushing into his lands. I decided I needed to recruit a new general here, and ended up getting a pretty great general, actually. Turned out to be a 5-6-6-2. As I was sieging his first fort, my opponent would decide to not let me just do that for free, and would actually choose to fight here. So I would more or less do the same thing where I'm kind of slowly like moving my guys in, and you know, just going there. And as you can see here, he's doing the same type of thing. The fourth battle would result in a win for me with 59,587 losses from him and 25,264 losses for me. Next, I would start kind of just splitting up my stacks and sieging out different provinces seeing what he would do, kind of sieging him out, but also being ready to play reactive for when he shows up. Meanwhile, his ally made it through Hungary, through Austria, through Bohemia, and was sieging out my capital area, so it was pretty frustrating. Also had some kind of bad rebels to deal with, so I sent a stack of mercenaries back to kind of try to deal with that problem. I sent a stack of guys to Riga, not realizing he was there, and I couldn't retreat in time, and he was ready to kind of take that battle as a whole, so I kind of was just like, well, I tried to reinforce, which was probably a bad call, but, you know, I couldn't really get there in time, and so this was definitely an L for me. This would result in 22,174 losses for him, and 18,873 losses for me. I realized at this point I was losing 227 a turn, and I was like, oh, that's a big problem. So I would address that problem a little later, but I was kind of got distracted with a impending battle. And my opponent would actually find my cannon stack and engage on it, which was not good for me. I tried to get my guys in there as fast as possible, but you know, there was some bit of time, and there was a battle on the left side too that took place. This would result in a sack fight for him losing 27,000 guys to my 4,089 guys. The battle on the right would also be a victory for me. My opponent would take 36,873 losses to my 13,247 losses. At this point, it is clear to me that I'm winning the war. However, I have about, well, there it is, 0 manpower now, and I'm losing a ton of money, so it's kind of like I'm winning, but at what cost? And I think my opponent knows that I'm running out of both manpower and money to continue fighting this. At this point, I'd be sieging on two sides, more or less. And I was waiting for my opponent to make kind of a reaction to that. And my opponent would decide to attack me on the right side. And I would try to reinforce here, but I didn't want to pull my siege on the left because I was like, okay, I think I can win with just what I have on the right. So, but as the battle waged on, I kind of was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. So I ended up, unfortunately, I ended up pulling my entire stack. Don't know why I did this. Could have just left some guys there, but I pulled my entire stack off the 14% siege, which, by the way, wouldn't even make it to reinforce. So kind of just a loss. And this battle is extremely close, and I'm like, wow, how did I win? The battle resulted in 46,942 losses for my opponent and 22,373 losses for me. Which is surprising, as if you can see, I have no back row. I have 2,000 back row to his 28,000 back row. So, Prussia OP, question mark? Okay, the sack of the city here, and I would immediately turn that into a slackening recruitment, as I am currently 0 manpower and struggling a little bit. Take a look at the ledger and notice my opponent had 41,000 manpower to my 0. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. I'm going to lose this war eventually if he just keeps whittling me down. And here's another battle where he's doing just that. This would result in 42,337 losses for him and 30,749 losses for me. This would be a problem, however, because I have 0 manpower and he has 41,000. So he can almost replace all of those losses, and I can't replace any. The next battle would take place up in his territory a bit, and unfortunately for him, I think I was able to wipe his army before the reinforcements were able to arrive, so that was a little unfortunate for him. This would result in 15,482 losses for him and 9,938 for me. Next battle, I would kind of stack way too hard, and he would send units in one at a time, as you can see here, and I kind of just retreated because I was like, he's going to win. He has reinforcements. I have no reinforcements, so I just ended up leaving that battle early. This would cause 12,932 losses for my opponent and 7,240 for me. I would end up losing some ground here and kind of playing defensive, and I swear my opponent got like 14% or 7% sieges every time from this point on. So he was kind of pushing back. I was, you know, I was in the desperate times, and there was call for peace ticking, so I was like, maybe he wants to leave, but maybe he knows he's winning at this point. Like, I don't know. I would end up not letting him take Riga, so I was like, okay, he better not get the 0% siege at this point. Like, I was like, it's possible. So I went and I charged all my armies in, and he would probably do the same reinforcing as he had been doing. Not sure if the last reinforcement actually made it in time. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. So unfortunately, his reinforcements did not arrive, which caused a total losses of 38,371 to him and 12,063 for me. I'd finally get to my tech to 13, which, by the way, his tech had been 13 for a while, but there'd be another battle at Riga, as, you know, this man really wants Riga or something, right? So I'm like, definitely this isn't good for me, so I lose here. This will result in 37,042 losses for my opponent and 26,625 losses for me. At this point, I would notice I had reinforced speed instead of a discipline advisor, which was a huge disappointment that I had done that. So I was like, oh, that sucks. That would have been really nice to have. So I went ahead and offered my opponent here just to give war reps and money. And he instantly declined that offer. He didn't even open the letter. I feel like he was just like, no, this ain't over, bitch. I knew the only way to end this war is to go for Riga, as clearly, you know, his family heirlooms are there or something of that nature, because this man will not let go of Riga. The next battle, he went in on a kind of an overstack situation. So, yeah, this would be a pretty major battle. I didn't have many reinforcements and he had quite a few. But, you know, I am Prussia on the other hand, so there's that advantage. He seemed like indecisive there, like he was like, I don't know, should I reinforce? But then he decided like, okay, I should reinforce. This will result in 48,313 losses for him and 20,465 for me. So quite a decisive victory on that one. The final battle of the war would take place in Manpower, and it would be a rough one for him, as he didn't quite have as many guys as I did. This would result in a loss of 32,427 for him and 17,867 for me. So my opponent would finally unconditionally surrender after this point, and I would have to decide what I really wanted in this war, and didn't really know what I wanted because I didn't have any interest in expanding in this direction, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess I'll take some stuff because this war is going to cripple me financially, so I better take something. I ended up taking the following provinces as, you know, I felt like, as my single player brain is like, you gotta take the provinces that involve ships, so he can't ship you. I ended up also taking max money and war reps, and with that, the war was finally over, and that was a ton of fun. In total, there were 15 battles that took place during the war. The total units killed 466,608, and I lost 237,603. I also lost 171k to attrition. I don't know what he lost to attrition, as that is locked in the ledger. However, I probably need to be a little bit better with attrition, that being said. I wanted to gather a few thoughts that I had on the war, as I learned a lot. I did a lot of stuff wrong in that war. I wanted to just share with you guys a couple of them. First, I overreacted by hiring way too many mercenaries, which put me in a lot of loans. Although, maybe that's normal, maybe it's not. I didn't need to just like panic and recruit a bunch of guys at once, but you know, it's my first war, so you sometimes do these things and learn. Secondly, I should have changed my advisor early to something like morale or discipline, because I had like a reinforced feed, which was really questionable. I meant to switch my advisor to something else, but you know, as the war happened, I got, you know, focused on other things. I ended up in quite a bit of loans. However, I believe Russia's in a worse amount of loans. I actually checked the game as it is, you know, the saving as it currently is, and I believe I'm something like 12,000 in loans, and he's something like 27,000 in loans. So maybe we both need to declare bankruptcy. I don't really know what the answer to that one is. And I wanted to shout out the Livonian player Small Piet, as he basically did this war for content partially, and he, you know, it was his first time doing a war, and he was actually super nice about how he declared war. He actually asked me if it was okay, and I wanted to include, you know, I'm going to include a little bit of what he said. You won't hear me responding because my personal mic's not recorded, but I kind of wanted to share the way that, you know, he kind of went about asking me if you could go to war.
Yo, Playmaker, can we have a 1v1? I need to fight you for the East Prussia and like the Prussia provinces. I'm not fighting you to kill you, but I hope you understand this action. It should be even. No, I'm not truth-betting you. Don't worry, you have time.
This drastically changed my opinion of multiplayer, as I wasn't having too much fun, kind of just playing like almost like co-op versus AI, right? But then like, man, this was like, oh my gosh, this was so fun to me. It was like more intense than I've ever fought when playing against a you know, AI or anything like that. It was like everything you do, you know, you're just like worried about it. But it was super fun, and I know you guys that are advanced multiplayer probably like your eyes hurt from watching all of that happened because we're two new players that are fighting against each other. Although I didn't know he was a new player at the time. Of course, you guys can feel free to critique my gameplay. Love to hear some feedback. Just, you know, don't be too cruel, guys. It's, you know, it's my first time here in the multiplayer session. Don't tell me I'm the worst thing you've ever seen. Unsubbed. Hopefully that's not the case. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.